My name is Quinn, and I was born and raised in Vietnam. Moved to Rochester about 18 years ago. Continue my journey with going to school. I'm an RIT grad for business school, and after a while working out in corporate field, I decided that it's time to pursue my entrepreneurship journey, and here I am with Winter Swan Coffee. I know I've always loved coffee. I grew up in Vietnam, which we have a strong coffee culture in Vietnam. And I feel like that's something that I took for granted until I moved here. So the different culture, seeing the scenes of coffee here, I've always want to visit back that feeling of the Vietnamese coffee that I grew up with, and seeing that the Rochester community is just very inspirational. We have such a strong sense of entrepreneurship here. I decided that it's time that I sort of pursue my dream, something that always been in the back of my mind. Always wanted to start it, but never felt like I was ready until I was welcomed to the Rochester community and decided that I want to bring something to my second home here.
Hi, I'm Sanjay Hernandani. I'm a first generation immigrant to the United States. I came here as a student at the age of 18 and just stayed in this country beyond. And I've been here ever since, raising a family. My family is from India. I grew up in India. I lived in India till I was 18 years old. I had been to the United States maybe as a tourist a couple of times. And I came here as a freshman to Cornell. I came here as a student. I started my career in IT. I ended up in various IT leadership roles and spent about 20 years of my career as a C-level executive for large public companies. One of them being Windstream, I was chief technology officer there, and the other being Rochester-based Paychex, which I was the VP of IT, the head of IT. After that, I decided to branch out on my own and started investing in early stage startup companies, giving other entrepreneurs the opportunity to build businesses of their own, and that's what I do right now. I invest in early stage startup companies.
I'm Mitchell Kosamong. Born and raised Rochester, New York, hometown here. Did 6 years, 6.5 in the military, Air Force. I was a security forces cop. After I left the military, moved back home to be closer to my family. I'm first generation American. My family came from Laos. Both my grandfathers helped the Americans during that time to help stop the Viet Cong from going through our borders or my home country of Laos, and they were given the opportunity to come here and to the States, and just here to to carry out that legacy and have a better life that they hope would have. The military, it was always a thing I wanted to do just because of the history that my grandfathers both spoke about. It's funny because my grandfather, who was in the military, didn't want me to be in the military. He wanted me to stay home, help and take care of my mother and stuff like that. But it was for that urge to want to not only serve but to travel. I grew up in a single family home, so like, how am I gonna pay for college? Just those benefits, it was more selfish reasons at first, but after I completed my service, that what propelled me to be more patriotic and to be um, thankful and grateful for all the sacrifices other veterans made in our community and around the world.
Hi, I'm Maita De La Fuente. I originally was born in the Philippines. I came to the U.S. when I was 2 months old, so I practically raised here in the U.S. I own So Very Happy, and I offer homemade macarons, which are nut-free. My children all have severe nut allergies, so I went out and tried to make a macaron that's nut-free, which are ordinarily made with almond flour. I also make some cookies, vegan charms or meringue bites, homemade marshmallows, Rice Krispie treats, which also contain the marshmallows that I make.
My name is Gennaro Felix. I'm the maitre d' hotel here at the Genesee Valley Club. And I arrived at 1969, and I was a little bit culture shock because I'm from Manila. So anyway, I started here in 1972, and the manager enticed me to work, and because one of the maitre d' at the time, Mr. Joe DeToto, was retiring. So now, 50 years, I celebrated my on December 3rd. They gave me a big celebration of my 50th anniversary.
I'm Jen Dondero, and I have Jen's Artisan Bread. And my dad is Filipino. He came to America when he was 18 and met my mom in Germany. He was in the U.S. military, and then we all moved here from Germany when I was 5. And I started Jen's Artisan Bread this past summer. It's all sourdough goods.
My name is Patrick Ho. I'm originally born in Hong Kong. I moved to the state in the 80s. Now I'm living in Rochester, New York. I'm the president of Rochester Optical Manufacturing Company. It's a company that's been there since the 30s. I'm glad that I have the chance to be part of this business with a lot of legacy. And I'm the president and CEO and the sole owner of the company. Been in the U.S. for almost 40 years now. So I'm married with my wife Georgina, 2 sons and 5 grandchildren. I started my business about 1986 in the basement of my first home. Kind of a little bit of a American dream. You go take some chances and see whether you make it. So by the grace of God, that worked out, and the business kind of prospered a little bit. And there was an opportunity in late '90 that Rochester Optical Manufacturing was in financial trouble, and I heard it through the grapevine, and I decided to speak with an owner, and that's how it all started.
For Winter's One Coffee, we really focus on providing a premium craft coffee. So we do espresso bar, which is using quality beans we sourced locally. But then at the same time, I also want to really embrace that coffee culture where I came from. So a lot of the drinks would be Vietnamese coffee, Vietnamese latte, some of the things that I grew up with. And then we also focus on flavors that really popular in Southeast Asia. So I'm originally from Vietnam and my husband is from Thailand. So both of us really have a lot when it comes to drinks that bring back the childhood memories. And every time we go back to visit his family or my family, that's also our chance of exploring to see what's new in the Southeast Asian market for coffee and be able to bring back those flavor, sort of introduce connecting so that it's not so strange into the Rochester community for some of the flavors that we have in Southeast Asia.
Because we live in a society where we're kind of adapting to the culture we live in, and we want to expose our children to their roots and their history. And it is hard, but we do have a number of institutions in the Rochester area, the Hindu Temple of Rochester. So my kids that are age appropriate go to culture classes there and language classes at the Hindu Temple of Rochester. Just this week we celebrated the Hindu Festival of Spring, which is called Holi, which is a very colorful festival. And actually this weekend we're going to have a bunch of friends over and play with holy colors and celebrate the festival. We try to make sure that, you know, every significant and meaningful Indian event we celebrate with friends, family, other immigrants in the area.
My grandparents always taught me to not be so wasteful. It was a thing where we believe in karma, so you don't want to waste food, or you don't want to. You always want to eat together and respect your elders, things like that. It's just respecting everyone and not to be wasteful, because you know when you come from a country where you're living off the land and whatever you can grow, you try to utilize everything to help nurture and nourish yourself. So.
My parents asked me if I consider going to the United States, and I told them, I said, I don't know if I will fit into this country, so I give a chance. And I think I learned a lot here in the United States, because back in Manila, I was spoiled, and I learned everything from all my friends that are members here, and it taught me the way the Americans, their way of living and everything.
So there's a lot of stories my father and my mother would tell me about their struggles during the Second World War with the Japanese occupation and everything. So I experienced that pain, and that sticks in my head. But also to remind me that you don't give up, especially in face of hardship. There's always a solution. You just have to figure it out. When I moved to the States, obviously, just like any other new immigrants, there's a whole bunch of challenges. What my parents taught me or shared with me, helped me to plow forward in face of adversity. The good thing about immigrant is I can get the best of both worlds. The culture where I came from and the culture here in the United States. Each one of the culture has their pros and cons, and I can get a benefit of choosing, pick and choose what I think is good from one culture that I choose to keep, and another culture, and a new culture that I adapt into, that I learn from it, and I find it very beneficial.
As Asian Americans, we deal with some interesting stereotypes, that people may even consider positive, that end up working against us in many ways. So for instance, people are very comfortable with Asian Americans being in medicine, for example, or in front of a computer programming computers, but they don't often see us in other roles, and society doesn't have that comfort to advance us and further us in those roles. So it has been a kind of challenge to get into leadership. What was a challenge?
I would say the biggest thing is, first off, you got to take that first step and put yourself out there. It is very difficult to do, and I feel like that's why for so many years I didn't feel like I belonged in the Rochester community, because I didn't meet a lot of people.
The perception is everyone is out there trying to hire a veteran once they finish their military service, but it's not the case necessarily, because a lot is based off experience. And if those experience don't transcribe into what the job title or role is, you have to start from the bottom, and that's what I had to do.
The maitre d' hotel at that time showed me around of this beautiful club and trained me the proper way, because I don't have any experience when it comes to dining and everything. But I'm very good when it comes to hospitality. So I learned a lot.
People wanted to see us in certain roles, and they were comfortable with seeing us in those roles. But if we wanted to branch out and be something different, a judge or an artist, or a business executive, it was very challenging.
Let's face it, I'm an immigrant. I speak English with an accent. I might not use the slangs that you use. I may sound weird, and people would know that. And I would have people say, I don't want to do business with foreigners, or you know, you're not American, and they hang up on me and stuff like that.
I started from the bottom and everything. And this is a very exclusive club, and I don't even know about food business. So I learned a lot and follow the rules and regulation, and I learned a lot from other manager.
That was probably one of the most difficult thing, the biggest challenge when it comes to running Winter Swan, getting everything started. Luckily, I was, be able to connect with other Asian women Americans in the Rochester community, Maida and Jen, for example, and then there's Kayla, Biscotti Brewers. So together we are now feeling much better. We're getting it rolling with our business, and just help and learn from each other along the way.
But to me, this is part of life. People would, look at you in one way or the other, and people that choose to pick on you, they can pick on you no matter what. So I tell myself, hey, it's their loss.
I guess my story, I was delivering food for students at the University of Rochester, and now I'm in the master's program at Simon Business School. So it's, full circle, starting from the bottom at the height of my military career, and to, start over and use what I learned from the military to transcribe that to my current jobs and to work my way up into higher roles. And
I think you see that changing now from the 23 years that I've been in this country, actually almost 30 years if you count my student years. A lot has changed. You see a lot of Asian American CEOs in this country of Fortune 500 companies, of big tech companies. That wasn't the case when I immigrated to this country. You see congressmen and women. You see judges like yourself. You see people in government.
Acknowledge who you are. Accept who you are. If you are Asian, that is your benefit. Even people might not look at you as a benefit, but I can tell you, it is a benefit. And secondly, hold on to your culture. There's a lot of culture in the Asian culture that encourage hardworking, courage, perseverance, patience, and love. That, I think, is important for you to build your business upon that.
I'm very, very, very successful because they gave me an opportunity to be part of this. Rochester is the most beautiful place, and I'm very thankful that gave me a chance and to be successful.
When people see us succeed, they will accept it as the norm and advance us forward. So those that are successful in fields, I think we need to highlight them. I think we need to do more of this. We need to, highlight events like this. We need to recognize our successes.
And once I became a staff sergeant, I'll never forget my leadership instructor. She told me I struggle with confidence, and I need to be more confident in myself and my abilities, and end up, graduating with the tying for the highest test scores, top of my class during that time. So just having the confidence in myself and believing in my abilities was a big thing that impacted me.
I remember first started doing latte art, I was telling myself that I just need to pull a simple art. I don't need anything complicated. I probably will never be able to pull a latte art swan. But then I kept going, and then one day I'm just like, what the heck, I'm gonna do it. So I pour a swan.
That confidence, believing in yourself. my family came here with nothing but the clothes on their back. I was raised in a single parent household, had nothing, and just kept working, and it's that motivation that you need to tell yourself that, things will get better as you work towards something.
But at the end of the day, it's who you are that remember who you are. And that's going to be making a big difference in how you build your business and your success.
Never tell yourself that you can't do something, because it's gonna take time, and everyone is different. So you just have to keep practicing. You just have to keep pushing yourself, right?
We can be anything we want. I have 4 kids. I want them to choose, whatever career path they want and whatever they can do well, and do it irrespective of what people might perceive that, their ethnicity or their background or their upbringing might have built them for. Because the reality is we all can be whatever we want.
So, as a typical Chinese family, the parents are not really expressive about their love of the children. I know my parents love us a lot. Okay, I never have a shadow of a doubt. Anyway, but my father said, "Don't tell me that kind of stuff." And in America, people here are very expressive. They hug and they kiss you and they tell you, "I love you." This is like very un-Chinese, you know what I mean? So, and I really like it. So I choose to be more affectionate with my children, especially our grandchildren. Okay, so so this is something I'm really happy that I can do that, and so this is a way that, the new culture that allow me to be affectionate and be able to express it without reservation. So it's one of the things there are others, but this is the one that I love the most.